Blue Beetle, issue 5, Josh Trujillo
hmm
and Adrian Gutierrez on the arc. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, so the last issue ended with Fadeaway, who's the thief character. Learn their name because they're a pretty prominent character in this one. And this new redheaded character named Gimmicks. And you find out that Gimmicks is Sylvester Pemberton's sister. So this ties back to the original like JSA time. So I
Okay.
think, yeah, in that this is the reboot version of that she would have a bag of tricks. So she had this bag and she could pull things out when they needed them. It was kind of technological magic, kind of. And so um, she goes, he goes, Paco goes, wait, so you're like a zombie? And the friends or Natita's like, don't be ridiculous. He's like, oh, so she's a ghost, and you just come to find out that um, the monsters that killed her were part of something dark. Their cosmic horrors must have spilled into the bag, and so the bag essentially brought her back to life. So there's like this weird kind of cosmic horror bent to her. So now they're no longer technological; they're sheer just magic. And so maybe she is too. So there's a bit of sinister vibes with her, but she comes as an ally because she wants to stop the blood scarab. That's originally why they're here. Um, and so Starfire shows up to tell them that Jane or Jaime needs help, and that he's gone to Cord's sister to for the help, and that maybe that's not a good idea because she's not the most um, since her brother was put in the hospital, she's not thinking the best, and so it goes over to her and Jaime, and they're looking through all of these devices that she has, which she has a gamma gong, where she says no, that's too loud, a gravity rod, which looks like something that Starman had, right, like the cosmic rod, but it's bigger and almost looks kind of like more like Hawkman's mace. Like there's more heavy weight to it. And then she also has a blue lantern ring, which is very curious, right? Um, and she also has an Absorbicon, which makes anyone who touch it think that they're a reincarnation of an Egyptian pharaoh. To which Jaime's like, "Well, no, we're already dealing with that, but we need to figure out how to put this guy out." Um, and so they talk to the scarab, and the scarab Kajida gives them basically a flashback that's done in old comic book style. So the Gutierrez's art switches from, at least I think it's still Gutierrez. Let me double check if there's another artist. No, it's all Gutierrez. It goes to how Dan Garrett, the Blue Beetle, the first Blue Beetle, had beat the Kaefre, who's the guy in the Blood Scarab. How he originally beat him by tapping into the power of Kajida, and through this, he had ended up putting the mummy back behind the tomb and sealing it with the energy from Kajida. And when he had done that, the mummy melted away and just left the blood scarab. So it does seem like this is another one of the Reach scarabs. It's just it got to Earth longer ago, and it almost seems like this pharaoh had corrupted the scarab as much as the scarab had corrupted the pharaoh. Um, and knowing this now, Jaime has an idea. So he joins back up with Starfire before they can leave, and they hear that there's like a commotion going on in Palmera City, and Blood Scarab has showed up at a soccer game and has started possessing people at the game, and he ends up turning them into like these, uh, like they're definitely warriors, but they're not. They're very scarab-like, so they have like pointed horns and stuff, but they're not like a suit. It's very weird. So he basically reanimates all of them. Jaime and company um, show up, and they end up having a plan where Starfire is essentially gonna take lead, and what's her name, Uli, the lady the Horizon are going to use her technology to get into all the cameras and essentially set a trap and trap the Blood Scarab, using fadeaway and gimmick as well. And so they show up, and they didn't. The big mistake that they made was not telling Victoria, because she still shows up, and ends up hitting the Blood Scarab. So they end up weakening him with their plan, but she hits him with this ray from a satellite that she's going to use, and it does not do anything. Right? It ends up leaving this big hole in the soccer stadium, but Blood Scarab's there basically untouched. To which Jaime, Dynasties, and Natita are the last ones kind of standing against the Blood Scarab. And Jaime realizes that, much like Dan Garrett, he has to be the one to put the Blood Scarab down. He can't have help from anybody. And he's like, well, this is it. It can only be me. It's my destiny. Right? So for all of the help of relying on everybody else, Jaime's still at the place where he feels like he has to do it himself. And I feel like that's going to be part of the Blood Scarab's, that's part of their plan, right? Is to isolate and take him out like he did to the other ones in Solar Power. So the dynamics here are still pretty spot on. Just Jaime is kind of in this emo phase still. That's not that it's annoying to read, because I think that's the point, is he's not acting like himself. But yeah, just the fact that it's rotating around all of the different like supporting casts. He's done Josh Trujillo has done a really good job at fleshing out Jaime's cast using, the two new Beetles, of course Starfire I'm always going to be a fan of, but establishing Victoria Cord herself as kind of this. She's not necessarily a bad guy, but she's definitely out on her own. She's not going to make Jaime's life easier, right? But she's definitely someone that can help. I'm enjoying all of that, and then of course the art, when it switched from what we've been used to of that Blue Beetle style from Gutierrez to the old pulpy 30 style. I was like, okay, that's a fun little trick. That was a nice break, but yeah, it's still a fun book. Fadeaway and gimmick, I'm sure there's something more going on. It feels like I hope this gets more issues, because I feel like that's just the start of their story. Because it also ties into, she mentions the last time she saw Beetle was with the Seven Soldiers, so it's also playing into that whole era, which I'm a fan of. So yeah, Blue Beetle, still a fun read. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.